Okay then, this is Lotus Turbo Challenge, but on the Sega Megadrive. I'd say it's fairly safe to assume that if you've got an Amiga, then you've probably played this game, and it's certainly a classic. But I think this is just a case of, well, quite a few Amiga games that made their way over to the 16-bit consoles. And I think even on the Mega Drive, this had a fairly good reputation. So this is Lotus Turbo Challenge as it is, without a number, but really it's Lotus 2 from the Amiga, which is a little bit confusing because Lotus 2 on the Mega Drive is Lotus 2 Rex, which is the one with the construction kit, which is Lotus 3, which is a bit confusing. But there you go. But yeah, this is quite a nice conversion. The frame rate's not quite as good as the Amiga version. It might just be my memory, but although I haven't played the Amiga 500 version for a long time, but at least the one that I'm perhaps most familiar with is the version that came out on the CD32, and it's a little bit smoother than this. But that's not to say that the Mega Drive version is bad in any way. It certainly looks the part. Although the weird... That's annoying. Yeah, the weird thing is that the car seems really fat on this, and I'm not sure why. I can't remember it being like that on the Amiga. I have to go and check, but the car seems really kind of short and stretched, which I'm not sure why. Bugger off. Yeah, I love these logs. I think out of... Yeah! That's how you do it. No, not that one. This one. Yep. I think out of all the versions of Lotus, I think I prefer this one. Lotus 1 was more of a racing game, really. Kind of like a championship, so you've got to come first. And this is... I suppose it's more arcadey, so you're racing against the clock rather than against, you know, other cars like in the first game. But the thing that really annoyed me about the first one was that it had this strange split screen mode. Bollocks. I'll try that one again. Yeah, the thing about the first game was that it had this strange split screen mode, which meant that the bottom of the screen was really... It was like a garage, which is just weird considering it's got your... I think it shows your car while you're driving it, which is weird anyway. But yeah, I think out of all the Lotus games, this is the best one. And I think it just seems to play better. On the third one, they tried to... It's hard to say. I wouldn't say the Magnetic Fields who developed it ran out of ideas, but I think they were trying to please fans. Bugger off. No, didn't knock too much. Yeah, they were trying to please fans of the first game and the second game, and it was trying to be everything to everyone, which it's hard to explain. It's almost like Street Fighter Alpha 3, which has everything in that you'd want from a Street Fighter game, but doesn't quite feel as focused as Street Fighter Alpha 2. I think if you've played those games, you'll know what I'm talking about, and I think it's maybe the same with Super Street Fighter. But anyway, we're talking about... Well, I'm waffling about Lotus. Yeah, it didn't quite feel right. They changed the graphics a little bit, so the effect was a little bit smoother and a bit more optimised, and certainly the Mega Drive version looks a little bit smoother than this one does, so I suppose that's one benefit. But they added things like... There's a track where it's set in the future and there are magnets on the side of the road that pull you over and things like that, and it's a little bit gimmicky. But this is good. I like this one. There's a 2-player mode as well, which is... Oh, go! I hate these pools of water. Fancy that, having water on it. Road. Yeah. Completely forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I used to play this with a friend of mine who had an Amiga. We'd spend hours in 2-player mode. It really does work well as a 2-player game. I think in a way that this gets around the problem of this road effect that you have on Lotus and yeah, the magic second. I think the problem with games like this kind of Outrun Chase HQ effect, is that the tracks can look a little bit bland, because, as I said with Street Racer, all you're doing is going left and right, and you can't, with a 3D game, or even a game like Mario Kart with Mode 7, you can remember corners, but on this, it's difficult to remember the track. You're really just responding to it, which is not a bad thing, because this is certainly a hard game, and I think there is a degree of learning the tracks. But I think the fact that you've got these winding hills, you know, going up and down and left and right, it makes it a little bit more like Road Rash, where remembering the tracks, ooh, you might want to remember that those big rocks are there, but remembering the track's not really the important thing. It's more of a subconscious thing of just reacting and knowing how to react in real time, which is a good thing. Whereas Street Racer just, well, I didn't like the cornering on it. There was no, what's the word, analogness to the corners. It's just hard left, hard right, whereas this, you've got to judge the corners and play them a little bit more precise. And then you've got the thing like the logs, remembering which log you meant to jump on. Like that one would have been a good idea. Oh, I hit the side. Come on, I want to jump. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yes! I like that. It cuts the engine off when your time gets to 0. Okay, this is the second track, the night track. I like the weather effects on this game. You get the night one in this, and then you get the next one is it's like a fog effect, which is quite nice. And then later on you get, was it this one or was it Lotus 3 where you're in the desert? That has quite a nice sandy effect, which is good. But I think by the time you've played, if you played the first Lotus, which you can't on the Megadrive, but if you played this one, I think really you've seen everything. Yeah, the first time I ever played a Lotus game was on the ST. It was this track. This one, I think I'm just remembering it. It was a demo from ST format, and I'm trying to remember how the ST version of the game played. It was more or less the same as this one, I think. It's interesting that to see the different versions of Lotus. There was what am I talking about? There was an article in Retro Gamer. This would have been probably beginning of last year, so last Easter time, something like that. And they were talking to the developers of this game. So I can't remember the guys' names, but there were two guys from Magnetic Fields who developed the first Lotus, this and Lotus 3. And they were saying that the reason that this looks so good and so smooth on the Amiga is that they used the blitter chip quite heavily, so they pre-calculated a lot of the track and the road effect, and they used the blitter just to move things in and out of the screen and do, I think the blitter could do scaling. I might be wrong, or it was some trick, but I think that's why the Amiga one looks so smooth compared to this, although I think the CPU in the Mega Drive is a little bit quicker. It's a Motorola 68K, and I think the Mega Drive one, and I'm going to get screamed at by people who know the spec, but I think this one was 8 megahertz and the Amiga was 6, something like that, or 7. Wasn't a lot between them, but the Mega Drive really is just a 68K, as is the ST, where the Amiga, I suppose as fans know by now in Amiga lore, it has all these chips like the copper chips and the OCS, ECS later, and the blitter and blah 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 blah. But yeah, so I think if you have a choice of playing this, play it on the Amiga. But I just like the idea of not just this game, but I think a lot of Amiga games. I like the Mega Drive versions just for just out of laziness. Some games like this play really well on a control pad, and even games like Speedball or Lemmings just play really just as well on the Mega Drive, despite the colour palette not being quite so good. But yeah. Get out. Wait, bog off. Yeah, you're not really racing the cars on this, but it's almost, it's not traffic, but the cars are definitely, I'd definitely say that they're going for you. Yeah. Oh, I think I'm running out of time. Go on, 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 go, go, get out and push. Right, I think I'll leave it at that. Lotus 2, or Lotus 1 if you read the Mega Drive. Anyway, it's a really good game, and I think if you are a fan of Lotus but you don't want to set up an Amiga with floppy disks or a hard disk loader, then I would certainly recommend this just out of convenience to, you know, shove a cartridge in, play it on the telly and have some fun, and you get your passwords and whatnot. So yeah, definitely a recommendation. Certainly a long-winded and waffly one, but a good recommendation for me, so thank you very much for watching.